Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. It's V, the one and only, and I'm here with my main man Dex, the Algocapitalist himself. And we got a lot to talk about, bro. A lot of things happening in the markets. So without further ado, I'm gonna unleash you. What's going on, Dex?
What up, peoples? Good to be back. Good to be back.
Good that you're here, sir.
Yeah, man, and healthy regardless of this flu pandemic that's happening
Yeah,
around the world, man. Gosh, it's over the top.
it's
I'm just
not flu
happy
though.
to be
That's
here.
the funny thing. Did you? I actually reported on this. It was actually a scientist from the British medical journal. Um,
Hmm.
they he did a study. I think he got tissue samples from lung samples, right, from 1,500 Americans who were supposedly infected with the for flu, and he
Hmm.
got them tested. Man, only 15% actually tested positive for influenza. So what the hell's really going on?
Hmm. That's a
Isn't that
very good
crazy?
question. Yeah, I mean, I've spoken
Yeah,
to people who
and it's in
have
the
had
and
friends and
dude,
family members die from this, man.
that's what I'm saying, dog. And here's the thing. And then they published it. They published this in a medical journal. It was peer reviewed. It was a peer reviewed study. Only 15% of these people that are claiming influenza were actually tested positive for influenza. So what the hell is everybody else coming in with?
That's a darn good question, man. I think it is biological warfare, to be honest with you.
Probably is, man. I mean, they're spraying
They've
crap every
been
single day.
Man, the clouds are looking more like tic-tac-toe boards every day,
Yep.
straight up. So whatever, man. But it's definitely something nefarious going on. I mean, look at it this way. We've known about this for decades now, and nothing has been done to stop it. It's as if you're just whistling in the wind and you're on a remote island and no one can hear you. No matter how
Yep.
loud you scream, no one can hear you. And even if they could hear you, they don't care.
No,
And
right,
that's
exactly.
basically where we are right now. Um, I don't. It's like I've noticed that even in the mainstream media, they can say something and it could be outlandish. It could be truthful even, and people won't even bat an eye. It's like they become immune to reality. Like they could come on right now and come across the screen and say, "Could eating donuts reveal that you're a racist bigot?" Find out in this next investigative piece. And they can bring a doctor on who can tell you that, yes, they've done studies and they showed if you eat donuts, you're a racist bigot. Do you know people will stop eating donuts just because they heard that on television? That's the kind of society we're in now. And then if you come against that and say that's ridiculous, you're looked at as if you have two heads. And then they say there's something that must be
I
wrong
have
with
to admit
you.
that I am a racist and I do eat because I eat donuts. I guess
It's
I'm a
just
racist now.
ridiculous, man. You gotta watch what you say these days. It's craziness.
No,
So
it's
peep this.
it's nuts.
I'm about to break something live on your show, man. You ready for this? I didn't even tell you I was gonna do it. I'm gonna do it now
Do it,
because
do
I've
it.
been getting so many questions in my inbox on what is going on. They're like, Dex, what's going on? I heard you on the show. What's going on? I'm hearing all these different things. Is this true? Is that true? So I'm about to break it down for you guys. Are you ready? Here we go. The Federal Reserve and the foreign central banks have decided, all right, and they're all in agreement that they are about to change the financial landscape of the world's economic systems. The last meeting that they had, including Davos and all these other places that they had, all these summits, especially the big one they had in 2017, when they had the Bilderberg and all that. Well, here we go. This is not necessarily a takedown, but it's more so of a shakedown. They have all agreed to simultaneously unwind their balance sheets. It's not just the Fed here in the States, it's all the central banks. They are in the process of unwinding their balance sheets globally. What that means is profit taking, massive profit taking. So it's going to be masked to look like a straight up market meltdown, a market crash, similar to 2008, but that's not what it is. It's them unwinding their balance sheets. And the reason why this is going to look like a straight up tsunami or some type of earthquake on a Richter scale of 12, even though it goes to 10, this is going to be a 12, because the simultaneous thing that they're going to do to cause the tsunami to follow the earthquake is to raise interest rates, regardless of better judgment. All right? They're going to take profit and they're going to raise rates. Okay? When they raise rates, there'll be no more free drinks at the pool, and it's going to cause a ripple effect across the board. So that's what they're planning on doing, and they're in the process of doing right now, even as we speak. The bonds have bottomed out around the 144 level, talking about the long bond, ticker ZB. If you want to think of Swim, TD Ameritrade trading platform, it's / Z as in zebra, B as in Bravo. Bottoming out around 144, therefore, you can see a key reversal happening in the bond market. Remember, as bond prices fall, interest rates rise. So you can expect for this little technical bounce to be very short-lived, and you can expect the bond to drop perhaps as much as 20 points. So that would take the bond from the 144 level to the 124 level. Time frame in which this should take place is going to be rather fast and furious. They're not going to let it linger and do it over time, like let 18 months go by. Nope. It's going to be fast and furious. They figure it's going to be better to rip the Band-Aid off than to just peel it off slowly. Nope. They're going to just rip it right off. Feel the pain and then keep it moving. But that's not it. That's not it. You know how the president said, we're going to bring all these jobs back and we're going to do this, and jobs are falling out of the sky. It's raining jobs. And everybody clapped and said, that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, simultaneously now they're taking away in all the entitlements. They want to do away with the food stamp program, and they'd rather you go and get stale and sometimes Ebola type latent food and meats from a food pantry. That's what they want you to do. They're saying, let's attack the poor because they have no advocacy. And then that way we can trim X amount of money off of the budget. Now, let me explain something to you. That sounds really good for the conservatives who say, well, if a man doesn't work, he can't eat. Failing to realize that there are multiple different classes of poor people. The largest class of poor people are those who are sick and infirm and cannot work. All right. So this is that's who is going to hurt the worst. All right. Now, I know that on paper, we talk about theory, but then there's real world application. In theory, that would sound great for the class of poor that are able-bodied and can work. But in the real world, it's ineffective because there is a stigma, especially in the West, all right, in Western nations, that if you are poor, you are disgusting. Disgusting and poor go together. All right. They say you're poor because of lack of education. You're poor because you're a drug addict. You're poor because you're an alcoholic. You're poor because you're a compulsive gambler. You're poor because you're lazy. You're poor because you're stupid. You're poor because you make poor choices. This is true for some of the poor, and believe it or not, it's a very small piece of that incredible large pie. All right. The largest class of poor people are the sick and infirm, which is a broad because there's a lot of people that fall into that category, and the working poor. Okay. Let's break it down. The sick and infirm, people who are mentally ill, have physical disabilities, mental disabilities. They are perhaps they're the elderly, you know what I'm saying? Those type of things. Those are, we're talking tens of millions of people that fit into that class. Okay. Then you have the other half of the pie, which is like 80% of the pie almost. It's the working poor. Those are people who are poor, but they do work. Some of them hold down 3, 4 jobs. All right. This is going to affect them because now, see what they don't tell you, because people who are middle class or upper middle class or wealthy or never had financial struggles in their life don't know about this part of society, which is a huge part of the society. You see, what happens is when you cut these programs that they like to label as entitlements, that now you're making the working poor, you're making them now third world type desperately poor, because now as the working poor, they were able to get health insurance through the Medicaid program. Well, they're going to be cutting that. They're also able to get food assistance through the food stamp program. Well, they're going to be cutting that. So you take away the Medicaid, you take away the food stamps, and now the working poor, they cannot afford health care and they cannot afford to barely eat. Now I know what some people would also say on the conservative side. Well, no one told them to have all those kids. Well, you know, there is a large segment of this working poor class of society that have children and families. But did you know there's a greater, larger portion of that are single and have no children? See, they don't count the single people that have no children that are part of the working poor. And there's a huge number of them. Okay. Large number of them. So they don't like to calculate that. And when they do, you know, they like to manipulate the numbers to help push the agenda. Whenever you see them talk about this in the mainstream media, they always bring up the less than 1% of the working poor who are well and able-bodied, but you know, they're lazy, or they're alcoholic, they're drug addicts, whatever. They like to show them and let them be the face of the poor. Those are not the face of the poor. The face of the poor is the working class poor. That is the largest segment of poor people. Anywhere. It's just a fact. Working class poor is the largest section, followed by the infirm and the sick. This is what your president and your Congress and your Senate, your House, this is what they are deciding to do, while simultaneously the Fed and the central banks are pulling their funding from the financial machine engine that we call the stock market. While simultaneously, while that's happening, raising interest rates on top of that. When they do that, what does that do? It hurts the mom and the pops. The mom and the pops have always been the backbone of this country. Without the mom and pop shops, most people would not be working who are working, whether they're working poor or not. All right. So This is the decimation, the final decimation of not only the middle class, but the working middle class and the mom and pops. This is who this is really going to hurt the most. The mom and the pops and the working poor. The government is coming after you. All right? It's saying thank you for your service, but we no longer need you. Yeah, that's another group of working poor that unfortunately have been moved over from the working poor to the sick and the infirm. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about veterans. I'm talking about returning veterans, and I'm talking about retired veterans. Those individuals who fought in Vietnam and earlier conflicts. All right? Not to mention the Gulf War. Do you know how many young people got tore up in the first Gulf War? I ain't talking about the second one. I'm talking about the first one, the one in 1990. Do you know how many people came back sick and messed up? The late, great Charlie McGrath from Wide Awake News passed away because of complications from Gulf War syndrome. Did you know that? This is who they're coming after, people. Under the Obama administration, we did more to spit in the face of veterans than any other president in my time. They told you that returning veterans were the biggest threat to our society as far as keeping things peaceful. Even labeled them as Al-Qaeda, put them on the same level as Al-Qaeda, straight up. And they had to do that because they were trying to push the gun agenda where they wanted to take away everyone's right to be armed and protect themselves and their family and their land. See, they don't like the fact that people own land. So they have to do something about that. So what are they doing? They're trying to manipulate the minds of the people with more entertainment and things of that nature, and designing the music playlist to evoke a deep REM sleep type of consciousness. Now, the reason why you know that the Fed's plan is not going to work is because they've gotten desperate. They realize that they need to do something to make it seem that what they're doing behind the scenes is not being seen, even though they're doing it right in front of your face. What do I mean by that? They've been running ads lately on all the business channels trying to encourage the young working class to invest in the stock market as the Fed and the central banks are pulling out of it. They want to try to train you to buy falling prices. That's the only way they can keep the engine going. Okay? This is what they're doing. So they've been saying, bringing on all these experts. They got even so deep, all right, so deep and devious with their shenanigans that they're pulling out my peer group. They're going way back now. They're going back to the 1990s on you, during the first tech bubble. They're bringing back those famous people, names like Abby Joseph Cohen from Goldman Sachs. All right, she was the Wall Street darling back in the day. Do you know she had a salary of $100 million? $100 million they paid her. She was the most world famous tech analyst on the planet. They're bringing her back now, talking to her. What do you think? And the latest thing was like, oh, Abby Joseph Cohen has turned from a bullish outlook to a bearish one. Even though we're not technically in a bear market. We're not in a bear market on Wall Street. We're still in a bull market. Regardless of all the gyrations and volatility you've seen, the market is just trading within a very wide trading range. That's it. So anyway, what they're trying to do now is make it seem like the sky is not falling, even though the sky is falling and smashing you on top of your head. So they want to keep it kind of propped up a little bit as they pull this money out of the market. I'm not saying that the market is going to crash or the economy is going to crash. I'm just talking about the Wall Street shenanigans as far as the price action is concerned. And yes, it's going to look and seem like it is a major crash on Wall Street. And you're going to have all the talking heads coming out just like they're doing now, saying, oh, the bear market. I haven't seen or heard from these YouTubers and I don't know how long. And ever since their volatility is picked up in the market, here they come. The dollar is going to die in February. The economy is going to collapse in February. This is going to happen in February.
Not again.
Now, let me tell you something. Look, we laugh at this, right? But I'm about to hit y'all with something else. And I want y'all to hear me clearly. I'm about to expose some people now.
Uh-oh.
If it does happen this month, before this month is out, if any of the doom and the gloom happens like they're saying it's going to happen, you need to make note of it, and you need to unsubscribe from YouTube channels because they just tipped their hat and showed you that they are part of the demonic system, and they were put there to do that. You need to think about that. That doesn't make them prophets because they're not prophets. If they were prophets, they would have helped you put profits in your bank. They have not. Ask yourself those hard questions. Out of all the people that you have seen and heard on YouTube and on social media who claim to know something about the markets, how many of them have actually put money in your pocket by taking their advice? Be honest. Be honest. How many of you can say I am more well off today than I was before I heard and listened to these people?
Well, they can't say anything. The reason being is these guys make people just hold on to everything and be fearful and paranoid. They literally just sit there holding on and with wide eyes watching everything, watching life go right by them, bro.
Yeah, and then when something happens, or if it appears to be bad, then they come out of their they crawl from under their rocks and say, "This is going to happen. That's about to happen." No, how do you know all this stuff is about to happen? First of all, when there's no sign of it anywhere in the market, how do you know? If I don't see it in the algorithms, using this as an example too, if Cliff High with his web bot don't see it, where are you getting your information from?
I talked to Bobby who runs a YouTube channel and he has he told me it's going to happen. It's going to be World War III by next week.
Exactly. You know what? And if it happens, that person is definitely connected to the Illuminati, and you need to run from them as fast as you can. Straight up.
But Bobby said he's not.
Straight up. I'm just saying. If it's not in the price action, all right, then how in the world do you know that? Now, let me break down what I mean in the price action. First of all, companies have to file K1 reports and all these other types of reports. CEOs have to report when they're selling shares, when they're buying shares, all these type of things we got. We got commitment or trader reports in the future side of things, commodity future side of things. There are all types of reports and all this kind of stuff. Earnings reports, conference calls. I mean, there's so much analysis, especially when it comes to stocks, that if you got the right kind of cash or the right kind of account, dude, you already know what's going on as far as knowledge is concerned. As far as timing and understanding the market price action, that's the technical side. If you can marry the two together and know what's going on, then you already know what's coming before it happens because you already have seen it. There were people that knew that the financial crash thing was happening or going to happen when it happened in 2008. Okay, so you can know what's going on. All right, but what I am talking about is the outlandish claims that people make. And remember, the greater the claim, the greater amount of evidence is required to substantiate what you're saying. All right, you just can't say the sky's falling and then you have no evidence whatsoever to examine. How do you know the sky's falling? I don't know. Just trust me that the sky's falling. It's not falling.
Man. And the people get upset with us when we tell them the exact opposite.
Exactly, dude. The sky's not falling. The economy is not collapsing. The stock market is not collapsing. It's human beings behind the scenes that are making things look like that's happening because they have an agenda, and their agenda is to take as many of you away, and that's how that goes. Guess what they're introducing this week?
What's up?
They have the gonads to put out in mainstream media. They're introducing you to Fred, using for lack of a better word, Fred the robot who's going to be taking over retail.
Say that
The
again.
guy
A robot taking
the
over
guy
retail.
who's taking your job. They're introducing you to the robot that's taking your job.
That's good. That's very kind of them.
Dude, I'm telling you, people need to wake the heck up.
I mean, I was watching. It's hilarious. I was actually watching this thing on YouTube. It was a tour of the Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. Dude, they have a bar where the robots make the drinks and keep accounts, so nobody could not pay for their drink. Number one, and number two, they've actually had people test out those drinks, these mixed cocktails that this robot was making, and it blew the taste testers out of the water of how precise it was and how consistent it was.
Mm.
What is that going to do with bartenders, man?
They're out of here.
Out.
I'm telling you,
Done.
they're out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, think about it. They're already starting to, look. It started with the roll-ups. That's a term we used on Wall Street. Roll-ups is another term for mergers and acquisitions. All right, where bigger companies would buy smaller companies, but it wasn't just limited to that. A mom and pop could buy another mom and pop, and they would roll up the whatever it is that they're doing, that industry. Well, they're doing that too now, but they're doing it with people's jobs. All right, so what's happening is they're swallowing them up, and already, if you haven't heard, you guys, they're already in certain pockets around the world. They're already rolling out the pilot test program for universal income. It's already happening right now.
Stockton, California, man.
Yes. And I heard
stupid.
that there was somewhere in Europe they're doing it as well.
Yeah, the central banks got to put the inflation somewhere. This is what you and I keep telling the people. They don't listen, bro.
Yep. They're already doing the universal income because they know the jobs are about to go bye-bye. And as far as the robots taking your job, like I said, they've been doing little documentary pieces on the business channels showing you the humanless grocery store where there's no human being in it. The one that Amazon has put out into motion. People thought that I was lying when I first brought that and told them about that. They're like, man, you exaggerating. And now it's here, and they've been showing, and people are shopping already. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's happening. Oh, and remember when I told you guys back in the documentary, there is no collapse. And then I talked about it a little bit more in the documentary that I did called The Fed versus the Blockchain, where I talked about the electronic tattoo instead of the microchip, and how everything is going to be going to the tattoo. Well, that's already being rolled out as well. People are electively taking the tattoo, and yes, they are using it, and they even have kiosks and stuff set up where you can do it. It's over the top, dude. Darkness is here. It's not darkness is coming. Darkness is here. It's here now.
Most craziest. Yeah, you know what the craziest thing is, man? It's that the central bankers. Okay, dude, I remember 2017 January. I was having a talk. This is right in New Year's. I was having a talk with Harley Schlanger. Harley was in Germany at this time, and one of the things that he was discussing, and him and I were discussing, were the bail-in bonds. Every single one of them, Harley has a buddy of his who is a former head of Deutsche Bank, and not a head of Deutsche Bank. I'm sorry, who's part of one of the directors or something like that. So anyway, somebody high up in there, and this guy purchased Euro bonds as part of his retirement package. The fine words, when you begin to read the fine print on the bond terms, you really look at it, you translate it, you're like, holy crap, these bond terms these are bail-in bonds. There's a problem. There's a trouble and a bubble in the European bond market, and we've been saying this for quite some time. We've been saying it for years over here. There's a bubble and a trouble in the U.S. bond market, and we keep talking about that 10-year yield, and we see where that's going. They're going to have to do something. This is why Dex and I have been saying for the longest time: get ready for Dow 29,000, get ready for Dow 30, get ready for Dow 50,000, and it doesn't make any sense to most of you folks because you don't get it. This ain't reality anymore. This is a manipulated market system. Yeah, you can have a 50,000 point Dow. You're going to have some high cryptocurrency prices. You're going to have high gold and silver prices. You're going to have a cratered bond market, and you're going to have abject poverty. They're going to have to hide the inflation, and the best way to do it is you stick it in the market, and you have all of a sudden universal income.
Correct.
You want to talk about that Ben Bernanke helicopter money? There it is. That's what they're experimenting with it. Will they be successful? That's another thing, but the fact is that they're doing it.
You know things are moving fast because the robot dog has now been upgraded and outfitted to open doors. Did you hear that? You hear about that?
Oh, God.
Yeah, he can open doors now.
Well, there's most guys are waiting for the sex bots to show up, too.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the dog that DARPA made. Remember it?
Yeah, I think it's scary, man.
Well, it can open doors now, my man. It can open a door, a closed door. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's scary, man.
They're getting ready, dude. They're getting ready. So, yes, it's coming out. And as far as the robots, the dolls, they're rolling out now. That they already got the last prototypes done. They have the sex dolls now. They actually move and talk.
Oh, God.
Yes, they talk.
That's crazy.
Not kidding. I saw the commercial on that about one day last week. I saw it.
It's so dehumanizing, man. It's like, look, it's bad enough that feminism and all this other crap has not feminism, but I'm talking about the third wave feminism, this crazy far leftist feminism that has destroyed and ruined relationships, and liberalism has ruined relationships between men and women. Now men and women are completely casting off any sort of use for each other. This is terrible. This is how the human species goes extinct.
Yes. Well, I'm telling you, it used to be that TV would be will be ahead of reality. Now TV can't even keep up with reality.
Yeah.
Because it's already here. And the sex box for women. Yes, it's sex box for men and women. Right. And you can even have the what's that word? Gosh, what do you call those things? What do you call the dude who is going through the change? But
transgender.
Yeah, there's a transgender dolls too. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
God.
I'm not kidding.
Gosh, that's great. So you could have your little ladyboy dolls as well.
Yep, it's ridiculous. But that should tell you something, man. I'm telling you. Why do you think they're trying to depopulate the eastern part of America with this crazy virus? Now, yes, the flu virus thing did go, from coast to coast.
How many people dead so far, man?
I forget what the number is. I just know in my immediate circle,
I think it's being hyped up to
5 people have died in my immediate circle.
5 people?
I know 5 people. Yep, I was talking to 2 of my brothers, and where they work and people that they know. Between the 2 of them, 5 people have passed away this year from this.
Typically, every year. Well, here's the deal. I mean, typically every year you got 30 to 50,000 that drop dead because of the flu.
That's the flu. 50,000.
Right, 30 to 50,000. So far, the last number I saw last month, and I don't know what it is right now, I think 43 people died.
Well, peep this.
I don't know what the latest numbers are.
I'm in my 40s, and this is the first time.
You better be on that vitamin D, bro.
Ever heard or known of anybody that died from the flu? Ever? Mm-hmm. Have you ever known anyone to die from the flu? Or heard of anyone that you knew of that died from the flu? I haven't. Ever.
I personally haven't. No.
Nope. Not until it happened to me when I lost my son in 2005. He had just turned 3. That was the first time that I even knew that the flu could kill somebody.
Jesus Christ,
Yes.
man. I'm sorry to hear that.
So
I did not
thank
even
you.
know that. Oh my God, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, that was
Sorry to hear
back
that,
in
brother.
2005. He had just
Wow.
had his third birthday. So
Jesus.
yeah, unfortunately, my man, I like I said, I haven't heard about it until now, basically. So
Something is
yes.
going on, man. I mean, you know, like I said, bro, whatever the hell it is they're spraying, when you got only 15% testing positive for influenza, what the hell is infecting these people where you have hospitals that have tents set up outside as ICU, you know?
Well, I also heard that Atlanta had the highest
Yeah.
number in the country of people dying from AIDS, even though that medicine has been out now for decades.
Huh.
So yeah, dude, there's definitely some weirdness going on in the world. That's why I try to help people as much as I can by saying, look, teach yourself, you know, how to trade so that you can at least have the potential to have secondary stream of income for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that would tell me no if I say, hey, listen up. I want to give you $100 a month. I'm just going to give you $100 for nothing. I just want to give it to you. I don't know too many people that would tell me, no, don't do that. I don't know too many people that would say no if someone said, I'm gonna give you $100 a month for nothing. Well, guess what? You can give yourself $100 a month. All you got to do is learn how to trade. The poorest person can trade. The dude working at McDonald's or Walmart can trade. You can open up an account and you can trade. Yes, you can. You can learn to trade and you can make some money. You probably won't get rich, but you will be able to make some money straight up. So that's all I'm trying to teach people to do is be able to have some hope of fending for yourself, because retail is the number one place that people run when they lose a job.
I know.
They
It's
run
like
to
the worst
retail.
place to run to, man. I mean,
It's the worst, but that's what people go because they know they can get a paycheck.
yeah.
But
And it's a
when that's
paycheck that
taken
doesn't
away,
even pay much.
well, think about it though. Now that that's being taken away, where you going to run to now?
Hmm.
Retail was always a crutch. People always knew, okay, if I lost my job today, I will be working flipping burgers at McDonald's tomorrow, or I'll be at Walmart.
Yeah.
But now that a robot is flipping the hamburgers at McDonald's, and the algorithm is checking you out at Walmart, where you going to run to now? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the breakdown of society. See, that's the breakdown of society that is coming. That one has the highest potential to happen.
Hmm.
Not the manufactured race riots that they tried to do last summer in Charlottesville. Not
Mm-hmm.
that George Soros funded foolishness. Nah, that's
Yeah.
not going to cause a riot. What will cause a riot is when people can't feed the children.
Oh,
When
dude.
honest
Yeah.
people say, "Man, look, I just want a job so I can provide for my family." But if you take away a man's ability to work, a man who wants to work, all right, I'm not talking about the lazy man. I'm not talking about the drunk or the alcoholic. I'm not talking about the drug addict. I'm talking about the man who has a great work ethic and wants to work. Okay, you're taking that away from him now.
Yeah.
You're taking it away. So now you leave him with no other option but to pick up a weapon and start robbing people or selling crack on the corner. In other words, you're giving him no choice but to enter into the prison industrial complex, or what we like to properly call slave labor, because that's what
Yeah.
you become. You say, okay,
Correct.
fine, I'll become a slave.
Yeah.
I don't have a choice. I'm going to become a slave. And that's what happens. So then the state will put you to work, because you're now, state property. They put you to work. They still collect that $15 an hour that Walmart is paying, that would have paid you. But now they get to keep it, and then they'll pay you maybe 10 cents an hour of the $15 an hour that they get. to keep for your slave labor.
Yeah.
Then they get to charge you for every day, month, year that you're housed in their prison. So you get to leave the prison with a great debt. Tell me, where is the justice in that? But they don't care.
There isn't any.
They don't care. The state legislators, they get their kickback.
Right.
The private prison gets their, and they make their money.
Yes,
This is where we are, folks. And no one is saying anything about it. Want to know why? Because the average Willie has been manipulated and brainwashed to think that anyone who is in prison deserves to be there. And they say, well, they broke the law. No one is talking about revamping the laws and the legal system or revamping the prison industrial complex. Nobody's talking about that. Only thing they're talking about is taking away entitlements from the poor. Beating down the poor class is on the agenda. Not let's go in here and revamp the legal system, the legal justice system, because too many innocent people are on death row. The state has murdered innocent people who were on death row because back then we didn't have the DNA thing. We didn't have that. We didn't have the technology that we have today. It's too late now. Dude done been locked up for 40 years, or you executed him 10 years ago. All right. You destroyed his life physically, spiritually, emotionally, and all you can say is, I'm sorry. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We know that the prison industrial complex was designed to arrest the poor because the poor cannot afford to buy justice for themselves. All right. They know that the ones that can afford to buy and pay do so, and then they don't go to prison. So the legal system is the thing that needs to be revamped. Everything about it. Our legal justice system is in shambles. All right. But they won't do that because, again, they attack the poor. They make their bones off of the poor.
Right.
The majority of people that are locked up in the prisons in the United States happen to be people of color. All right. The smallest class of people locked up in this country happen to be Caucasians. And here's the funny thing about it, though. Guess what group of people are arrested the most in the United States? I didn't say locked up. I said arrested. Do you know what group of people that is? Caucasians. For every one person who is arrested that is of color, 10 people who are Anglo-Saxon are arrested. They're arrested at a much higher rate than anyone else, any other class of people. Do you know why that is? Because they can afford to bail themselves out and pay the fines. So that's a steady cash cow of money coming in every weekend. They get that money. Why do you think the average police force in this country, I don't care, name your state, name your local jurisdiction, doesn't matter. Why do you think they spend most of their day not fighting crime, but serving as agents of the state to generate revenue for the state?
Yeah.
Most of their money and time and effort goes into traffic enforcement.
Well, that's important, man. We got to make sure that, just kidding.
Because that's what generates the money for the state, right?
Of course, brother. The tax collectors, man. That's
so,
the tax collectors.
Guess what, though? Unfortunately, when our president's program kicks into high gear, because it's going to trickle down to the states, they never make it a federal mandate. They always say, well, here's the federal suggestions, if you will, that come down. But now it's up to you individual states how y'all want to take this and run with it. Oh, and better yet, here you go. We're going to give you incentive to do this because there's, something on the back end for you. So then the state say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to save money. And now you have more arrest and more people going into the prison system and more slave labor. So that's why our president can say, yes, I've earmarked X amount of $1 billion for infrastructure. Because guess what? You said, they always say, how are you going to pay for it? I know you want to build a wall, but how are you going to pay for it? I know that you want to do X, Y, and Z, but how are you going to pay for it? And the reason why he's chilling and he don't get too emotional about it, because they already know how they're going to pay for it. It's already paid for.
Yeah.
The slave labor. They're going to take everyone who was in the local jails and the privatized prisons, and they're going to lease those inmates out to build the wall and to take care of revitalizing the country's infrastructure. That's what is going to happen. They're going to use slave labor. They're going to use everyone that is in that prison system or the jail system to do that. You better believe it. It's already in the works. They've already been doing it. They've been doing it already for decades. When you see them dudes working on the side of the road in them orange jumpsuits, who you think that is? You thought that was your local Department of Forestry or whatever, just picking up the trash on the side of the road? Nah, that's your local jail inmates. Not the prison, the jail inmates. Prisoners can't be outside like that. Who are in the penitentiary, they go to work in the warehouses at night. But during the daytime, the people you see outside working, those are your state slaves. They're state property. They're in the local jail, and then they get to come out and do that. All right, they pick up the trash and stuff off the side of the road and other little things around the city and the county. But the prison inmates who are in the prison system, those are the ones that go work in the warehouses at night. All right, and help move merchandise and stuff like that. That's what they do. They're not allowed to work outdoors. They got to work indoors. All right. So that's just how the law is written. So that's how the wall is going to be built. If you guys ever thought about how they're going to do that, and that's how the infrastructure is going to be taken care of, in case you thought about that too. That's how they're going to do it. All right. So working under the supervision of an M16. That's how it's going to get done, or a Glock. All right. So that's what's been going on, folks, in our country. That's what's been happening as far as news for this week that you need to know. And no, Bitcoin is not ready to go back up to 20,000. Still in a bear market, folks. Sorry to tell you that. I know there's people on YouTube calling for Bitcoin to be at 23,000 by the end of the month.
No, not gonna happen.
And I'm just letting you know they're smoking something. And I
don't
want none
even
of
in our trading room right now. It's just that's what my trading guys are saying the same thing. It's just holding steady right now. It's not ready for that massive run. It's there's a bat on there, and it's a bear bat.
Nah, I mean it is what it is, folks. I know y'all like to hear something else. So if you're sitting on coinage, you gotta do your due diligence on that. But like I said, expect the Fed to pull the rug out again. Notice how everything is kind of quiet now after the volatility that we saw, and the next round of Fed unbalancing is about to begin. So when you see these things happening, folks, it's not panic selling on Wall Street. I don't care how they spin it. It's the Fed and the central banks getting out of the market, taking profit. Just understand that. And someone just put in the chat, 6,000 revisit. Yeah, we could probably get lower than that. When I do my end of day report, I'll be sure to show you where the projections are on that. But it is what it is. Yeah, they've been cooking the books, man. What do they call that? Creative accounting or something like that. For those of you that don't remember, do a Google search on Arthur Andersen.
I remember them. My cousin used to work for them.
Yeah, doing the tech bubble. They're one of the ones that went down because of fuzzy math, like Bush used to call it, creative accounting, put it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that we've been doing that. That's nothing changed. There's always more than one set of books. You know what I'm saying? You got the real books, and then you got the books that are usually distributed and submitted.
Right.
So it is what it is, folks. You know, I mean, we could talk for days on this stuff, but just understand that we live in interesting times, and the dark days are upon us, and there's nothing we can do about it. It really isn't. I know people like to say, "Well, you told us all the problems. Well, what's the solution?" I'm so sorry to tell you that we are past solution. We passed solution back in 1994. So I'm so sorry to tell you that that's it. There is no solution. There is no taking back the country. There's no taking back nothing.
I doubt that, bro. I completely disagree with what you're saying. I'll say that for another show.
Let me lay out why I said that. Here's why I say you can't do it. The last person that tried to do it, if anyone could have done it, this dude could have done it.
Yeah, they put a bullet in his head. His name is JFK.
There you go.
Okay.
I rest my case just on that alone. I mean,
okay. I'll bring you up to speed on another show of what's going on.
No, hey, V. Now, you did say that Trump was the man.
Yep.
And I told you that he is the man, but he's not the man that everybody think that he is. So
Trump is just one guy.
He a businessman. See, look,
he's just one guy.
He's a conservative Republican at the end of the day.
There's a whole thing that's going on that I need to bring you up to speed on, my man. I need to bring you. You're on the outside looking in. And I got to bring you in from the cold, brother.
All right, we got to do that. That's on the next. That's on the next joint. The next installment.
That's on the next show. That's on the next show.
We'll do a freaking frack.
But
Cheech and Chong.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, that's gonna be
all right, buddy. We got to run, but dude, thank you so much for being on. And folks, again, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and we'll be back here next week. Next trading Terrordome Tuesday. I'm going to be bringing Dex in from the cold and bringing him up to speed on all this wonderful stuff that's going on. And with that being said, folks, we're over and out. And CJ's not here to take it away, so I got to take it away myself.
Peace.